also what's going to throw us into that hyperinflation. And then ultimately, I mean, we're already resetting, but the visible reset that you or I are waiting for, because people think it'll just happen with a clap of thunder. And it's happening slowly until it happens quickly. Keep that in mind. And then, of course, we like to think, or others like to think, that the Fed is independent. Yeah, I don't think so. You watch this Fed pivot. We've seen it before. We're going to see it again. We're going to see it because the stock markets are going to force it. The bond markets are going to force it. And much as they say they're not going to do yield curve control, they're already doing it. They're already doing it. So maybe they want to name it a little bit different, but it's all garbage. You may recall that I have said from the very beginning that the system that we knew died in 2008 and has been on life support ever since.
I made myself clear on a topic that is obviously a little bit complicated.
2014
is reset. We're seeing as necessary going forward a reset in the area of monetary policies. We believe that quantitative easing and the accommodating monetary policies that have been adopted so far should be continued up until such point where growth is well anchored in those economies, and this is not yet the case everywhere. Reset in the sense that once it is well anchored, then those accommodating monetary policies have to be reformulated, have to move either back into their old territories or be more traditional or be maybe of a different kind. And I'm sure central bankers around here will be able to comment on that. But that's first reset. Second reset is the one that Mark is I hope going to talk about, which is the financial sector reform and regulatory environment that is clearly undergoing a major reset at the moment. And the final reset, which is my last word, Martin, is those structural reforms that are necessary in all corners of the world. Very often people think structural reforms, okay, for some of those advanced economies that have such rigid labor markets.
Talking about labor markets.
It's not just that. Reform. And I'm not sure that I would necessarily associate advanced economies with rigid markets, nor would I mark flexibility as the ideal solution for it. But structural reforms are needed in product markets, service markets, but they're also needed in emerging market economies where structural reforms can take a completely different form from those that I've just mentioned. And they have to do with bottlenecks in certain countries, they have to do with proper governance, and they certainly take multiple forms, including that of unleashing the potential that is there, but that is still constricted by a lot of licensing right, protective barriers, and so on and so forth. I've finished with my 3 R's, the most important one of the three being the one that I've not commented on, but that you have eloquently commented on.
Okay, so this was back in 2014 at the World Economic Forum, which has been talking about a reset for a long time, since the crisis, because they knew that the system was dead and they went on this big, long experiment. And hey, we should continue quantitative easing until the economy is strong. Well, here we are, 2020, and before COVID hit, we were already entering a global economic slowdown. So we have to have a reset because they're backed into a corner. Their tools don't work anymore. They have no more tools. I mean, look, as long as the public trusts the institutions, the central bank and the government, well, then they can keep growing that debt base. They can keep doing that. Confidence has been waning for a long time. And so here we are, 2021, the World Economic Forum, and then they didn't name it the Great Reset, but coming up, the Great Reset. And it's positioned that it's such a good thing, it's going to make everything more fair and more inclusive. It is a commitment to jointly and urgently build the foundations